This is Series 1, Part 1 of 3. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah. It's 27 years on Part 1.
Well, since its inception.
Yeah. Well, so basically this book is what's the first 4 issues, so issues 1 through 4, plus it has a bunch of cool extras as a backup story. And kind of the way that we always structured it in our minds was we wanted it to be somewhat digestible. Like in my mind, it's like when you get to like Spider-Man number 456, unless you're like the person who's collecting them all from the get-go, if you're an average person, you're just like, well, what's the point of even starting? You know, like I feel so totally left out. And so we kind of approached it with the idea of like, let's make it somewhat like a TV series where there's a season where like a big significant storyline goes through the whole season, and that's kind of the arc. And then and then we'll break that down further into like Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. So Part 1, this is Part 1, which is issues 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then Book 2 will be 5, 6, 7, and 8 with a bunch of extras, and we're actually almost completely done with all the production on that already. Awesome. It took us a while to like get to the point where we had a good, efficient production schedule. And then issues 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 will be Book 3, and then that will end this first big main story arc. So that's kind of what we're doing. That's the structure we're going with.
Well, I feel like that's kind of a common way a lot of publishers are looking at right now anyway. That kind of idea of doing seasons, and sometimes they're called seasons even at this point, because we do have this kind of culture of, I don't know, binge consumption or whatever you want to call it at this point, where people do like to, especially new readers, aren't as trained up on single issues as picking up a graphic novel and just kind of being able to digest a big part of the story at once. So being able to do the single issues and then to have the complete trade of Part 1 here is a great accomplishment. Well, we were talking a little bit about the character who's coming into their powers and about your brother with the color on it and all of that, which is really cool. And Marina was, excited to hear that you were able to work with your brother. But you've worked with your brother on a number of projects.
Yeah, so I think some of the first stuff, my brother, Brian Atkins, he's a bit younger than me, 6 years younger than I am, but he's been working on a number of projects himself. He's worked on a book called Final Street, a book called Family Graves that's published by Source Point Press. He's just a really well-rounded artist in his own right, and so he came in to help us with Runestone. And we've obviously, because it's such a long-lived process to get Runestone made, we've had a lot of creators help us along the way. Various inkers. We've dedicated the book to Rick Ketchum, who was a close friend of mine who passed away 6 years ago now. So he inked on the first issue. When I graduated SCAD, I moved up to North Carolina and joined Tsunami Studios, which is an art group there. And I went every day into the office space and worked with these professional comic artists, Randy Green, Rick Ketchum. Some of my first work was doing backgrounds on X-Men for Randy. And it was just...
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, here, draw the danger room. And I'm like, ah! So it was just... I learned so much from Rick. He just taught me something new every single day. And so it was awesome to get an opportunity to work with him on this book. So we wanted to really kind of add a bit of a tribute to him here. And then we've just had an opportunity to work with Bob Pedroza, colored a lot of the early issues. And then Brian stepped in right at the end just so that we could get it over the line and get it done. And he contributed so much to the final look of the book, and colored the cover here over Kevin Sharp, who's a longtime comics veteran. He's done all kinds of work for Marvel, DC, and he's in our Tsunami Studio group as well. Awesome. So I've known Kevin for years. So he came on board to help us with the cover. It's just been awesome to work with so many other people who've been involved in the project.